Hey everyone, I'm Kyle Miller, and today I'll be talking about my family tradition with Jamaican style jerk chicken. So, over the past 15 years, my grandparents have been traveling on my mother's side, actually. I've been traveling to Jamaica to get away from the cold here in Wisconsin. And over that time, my grandpa has been taking a liking to jerk chicken, and which has been a tradition in Jamaica for about over 400 years. And since his first few trips, he's actually been perfecting his own recipe for over 10 years. My mom and her parents actually lived in a small island in Turks and Caicos in the Caribbean islands, which I think is a really key reason on why we don't really have traditional cultural practices, and could be the reason that my family still enjoys spicy Caribbean food the most over generic German food, which is mostly what our heritage is. Jerk chicken was served at my grad party. I've made it for plenty of people as well, so that's kind of a tradition that will stay in my family as long as I can cook it. Um, to this day, my grandpa holds a jerk chicken grill off in our hometown, and it's a huge thing. They sell over 600 pounds of chicken. It's kind of a just one time thing they do during the summer, and since then I've kind of taken it over the recipe, and I now do all the cooking. So obviously, the nutritional facts for chicken, it's going to be a lot of protein and fat that come along with it. So there's about 450 pounds of 450 calories per the half pound of chicken, which is what we usually do per person. Standard amount of chicken that includes the bones too, so it's about 6 ounces of meat total. Naturally, there's not a lot of carbs, so the chicken's often paired with rice, pineapple buns, or spiced baked beans. Cooking with so many spices does mean there's a lot of sodium, but the macronutrient ratios of the full meal are really well balanced when there's chicken, rice, and fruit on your plate, which is generally what the Jamaicans will do because there's so much fruit in the Caribbean islands. So how to make it? Our family does a 24-hour marinade in soy sauce, lemon juice, canned garlic, and chopped onions. That's not super traditional, but what it does is it causes the meat to stay moist and not dry out when you're grilling it, which is generally what happens when you just grill on a normal grill. Jamaicans more or less bake their chicken, because it's a lot easier and stays a lot more moist in the oven. After the 24-hour rub, we empty the chicken out and we put on Walker's Wood Jamaican jerk sauce. That is a like the premium standard for jerk sauce in the Caribbean islands. You can get it in the U.S. It's pretty readily here, easily in the grocery stores and stuff like that. And we also do our own like customized spiciness to it by adding more habaneros and stuff like that. If you want to increase the spiciness to it, you let that sit for a couple hours. Grill the chicken up until it's crispy and done on the outside. About 160 degrees internally for the chicken to be done, so it's no longer pink. Once that, let it cool off for about an hour. Keep it warm in maybe like a crock pot or just your oven. And we usually serve it with Jamaican rice, pineapple buns, and spiced baked beans, like I said earlier. Add more habaneros to the sauce if you want to make it a little more spicy. And we always eat it with our hands, but I guess with a fork is probably the way to go because you don't want to be full of chicken hands. Fortunately, I wasn't able to get back home for a full video interview with my mom, but I did get to ask her some really cool questions. One of the first questions I asked her was, "Why is this food culturally relevant to you?" And she talked about how my grandpa traveled to Jamaica for about over 15 years straight, over about two decades. And he fell in love with the jerk chicken on his trips, befriending natives, learning how to smoke it, how the rubbing process, and how it's cooked, all the native like spices that they put into it and stuff. So it took him a couple of years to get the hang of it and how to get it back to the United States. A lot because back then a lot of the stuff wasn't necessarily available in Wisconsin. I asked her how often do you serve or eat the chicken. So she eats it about the same as much as I do. So about 2 to 3 times a year, we prepare it for corporations, fundraisers, friends and family, and then we make it 2 or 3 times ourselves just to eat for dinner here once in a while. It takes 2 days to just prep it, so it's definitely a special occasion type of thing. It's not anything you make every week. I also asked her how the food and recipe has changed over the years, and I think it's really just a testament to trying out different things, different marinades. Definitely taking a more American approach to the marinade because obviously trying to keep it a little more moist on the grill instead of cooking in the oven. It took a lot of trial and error, but I think it's gotten a lot spicier over the years, especially with our own recipe for the sauce. And the marinade is what gives our jerk chicken basically the best flavor off the grill. I asked her two more questions. And I asked her, "What's your favorite way to prepare the jerk chicken?" And her favorite way is when it's served with a side of the extra spicy sauce and some dirty rice, black beans, and sourdough like bread. For me, I kind of like the pineapple buns, and I like the Jamaican dirty rice too. That's a really good way to eat with it, just so that there's a little more carbs in there. And the last question I asked her was, "What do you think has turned? What do you think this has turned, or why do you think this has turned into a family tradition?" In the last 2 years, I think my grandpa's been teaching about all of us in our family how to do it, but she really thinks that I'll continue the tradition, especially as the only grandchild. It's kind of like on my shoulders to keep it going. So, hope everyone liked the video. If you have any other questions about my recipe or you have any other questions about how we make our jerk chicken, just email me, let me know. Thank you.